What's up, everyone? Welcome to another podcast episode. Today, we are going to talk about AI engineer because we have AI engineer here in the house. Sangram and I have been friends for 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, around 4 years. Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool. Let's do a quick intro. What do you do? Where are you from? Fun stuff about you.
Sure. Hey guys, my name is Sangramjit Mukherjee. I am from Thane in India, and I actually just graduated from Illinois Tech. I pursued masters in electrical and computer engineering, and my specialization was in AI and computer vision.
क्या रट्टा मार के रखा है I feel like that you must have said this thing so many places, right?
Many times, yeah, different places.
Different places and interviews and all
Yeah.
that. What is AI? Like, can if you someone who has no idea about AI, this field, like, how would you explain them?
Right. So basically, it's like a human brain, but in a machine. So if there is a machine that you want to basically predict something, if what is the weather tomorrow, so you get to see that tomorrow this is going to be the weather, or maybe after a week what's going to be the weather. So that is an AI performing a task based on the previous data, based on the data that is you have right now. It predicts, and then it tells you that what kind of a job can be done. It can be of different applications as well. It can be of forecasting, it can be of prediction, it also gives you accuracy, face detection. It has so many different domains.
Okay. I've also seen this, which you said face detection.
Yes.
So the more our Facebook, iPhone, like
Yes.
when you unlock the phone, the
Yes.
more it detects our phone,
Yes.
the more better it gets.
Yes. So basically, initially, when you're asked to actually show your faces with different angles, it's basically your machine learning different angles of your face.
Okay.
So in order for your phone to actually turn on, it needs different angles of your face. So basically, it knows that even if you show your different angles of your face, the phone might turn on. Right. So basically, as soon as you're turning on your phone every single time, your machine is getting even stronger in order to understand that your face looks like this, so that it doesn't give you same complexion different person for you to turn on the phone, something like that.
Right. Let's talk about like your background a little bit, because you are not traditionally in computer science. So you
Yes.
come from a electronic background,
Yes.
and then you switched from electronics to AI.
Yes.
You did your bachelor's in?
Electrical and electronics engineering.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you have any work experience
No,
before you?
I'm a fresher. Completely
Fresher.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
This is one question I keep getting asked. Like, if I want to pursue AI,
Yes.
can we get a job? So we have now
Yeah.
an example.
You can get a job.
Cool. And so, why? How was the transition? How did you make that transition from electronics to AI?
So basically, when I was in my first year, I had no clue what to actually pursue, because you have all these basic subjects in your first year in bachelor's. And then in my second year, as soon as I went into second year, I started getting into electrical, electronics, core, machines and stuff like that. And so I got this opportunity to actually come here as a student immersion program in New Jersey, in Stevens Institute of Technology.
When you were doing bachelor's in
Yes,
India?
yes.
Acha, oh,
So it was
okay.
funded by my college.
Okay.
And
What college was this?
It was Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
So you should go to that college.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
basically, after my second year, I got an opportunity. I had to actually give several IELTS exam and give my visa. So I came here on J1 visa. Yes.
Oh,
So
this is interesting. I didn't know all this. Okay.
Yeah, so I came here as an intern in Stevens Institute of Technology. It's in New Jersey, and I worked over there, researched over there with several other students for like couple of months, and that's where basically my interest in AI actually bloomed. It sort of gave me the boost that I needed to actually get inside AI machine learning. That's when I started to actually dig deep. As soon as I came back, I started doing different projects, starting from how to understand the data, then how to like make actually stuff working. So we actually built an emotion recognition system based on deep learning initially, and then yeah, that's where it actually bloomed. And right now I'm here doing my masters in ECE.
And so why ECE and not computer science? Does like AI come under ECE or is it more computer science?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, first, initially, I was thinking actually to go into computer science, but in order to get into computer science, it was really difficult for me being in electrical and then applying for computer science directly without any work experience. So, what I did was I chose a field where I get to do both electrical as well as computer engineering. So when we get to do both, you actually get to explore different fields like IoT. You also do get to do robotic software engineering, and then you also get to do AI and computer vision. So I actually wanted to get into software side, but via computer engineering, so I can get into computer vision majorly.
And what's computer vision? Like, what's the application of that?
Right. So computer vision is basically, as the name suggests, it's like vision given to a computer. So basically, what happens in that is it works on majorly videos and images. So
Oh, so the deep fake
yes,
thing, like
yes,
when,
deep learning, yes.
yeah,
So
or like when you have these filters,
yes,
that's
yes.
AI, where people replace my face with somebody
Yes,
else.
it's neural network. So basically, how it works is
Wow.
every single so it has two phases. So one is the image phase where after as I mentioned, as you mentioned, the facial detection, that is a kind of computer vision project. So basically, how it works is every single time your face is recognized, and every single, so if you want to detect a difference between a cat and a dog, you have to put different images of cats and dogs, and then so images are where the different features are taken out, and then it's sort of the you apply a model, and then the model predicts if it's a cat or a dog. And now the same thing can happen for a video. So for in a video, in each frame there is an image captured. So if there is a video already going on, in each frames per second you capture an image, and then that image you can directly apply several different, there are several different technical terms. So I don't want to get into the deep of it, but there is a term called bounding box where it sort of takes a particular person and then it detects. So what I did is, there is a particular project called COVID face mask detection. So this was during the COVID time.
Okay.
So it could detect if you're wearing a mask or not, live in a live video feedback.
Oh, so yeah, basically, if there's a camera and I'm
Yes,
filming
on a
you,
webcam. Yes.
then you're like, since your model has learned what the normal face looks like,
Yes.
and also what the face looks like
With a
with a
mask.
mask,
Yes.
you can now predict or make a judgment
Yeah.
whether.
If
Ah,
the yeah.
okay, and that's the computer vision part of
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So there are so many different areas of AI,
Yes.
and you listed some of them, which is computer vision, which is where you do this.
Yes.
There's robotics part. There's
Yes.
data science part as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Which one are you like? Which job did you get in which area?
Right. So I got in computer vision, which I actually wanted. It's
Nice.
actually really difficult to get a computer vision job as a fresher as well. So when I got it, I was really happy because that's the only one I wanted. Yes.
Nice. Okay. And going back to the curriculum,
Yes.
did you design? Did you have flexibility in IIT to design your course based on where you want to go?
Yes, definitely. So in IIT, we have this particular thing where you can change your major.
Yeah.
If you have taken those particular subjects which are needed for the major, you can change your major afterwards in the last semester as well. So your degree
When you
change.
say major,
Yeah.
meaning ECE major or
Yeah,
the
ECE major.
specialization?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically, if I want to take ECE and then I want to make ECE into AI and computer vision, I can do that.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually planning to do it, but unfortunately there was this last subject which I couldn't take because of the seats were full. So I couldn't take that subject. So I stuck with ECE. So
Okay.
I was only ECE, but all of my subjects were related to AI and computer vision.
Hmm. All of them.
Yeah, most of them
But
basically. More
and
than-
you must have to take like some core.
Yes, I
core
had
credits.
to. Yeah, I had to. Yeah, so I mentioned, right? So power market operations, then power electronics. Some of the subjects that I had to take. So that was like a
There was no
non-negotiable.
choice,
Yeah,
okay.
there was no choice. But then other subjects were related to AI.
So now, looking back at your masters,
Yeah.
would you recommend students if they want to pursue AI to take computer science instead of ECE?
I mean, definitely, yeah. If you're from maybe a background in computer science, then why not? You should go with computer science. There is another specific degree for AI. So there is an MS in AI degree as well in
Okay.
IIT. So if you want to like completely go into AI, then that is a good degree you can go forward with. In EC, I got like different exposures with IoT and robotic software as well. So it was like an option that I wanted to keep open.
Okay.
I didn't want it to close that option, so that's why.
Okay. Big question.
Yes.
Is there coding in AI?
Oh yes, definitely. uh,
How much coding?
there is a lot of coding. So it's basically like more than the code, you need to understand. So in my domain in computer vision, you need to understand the architecture of the model much more. So
So do you build the model or do you work on the model which is already built?
there are two different ways. If a model is not good
Like, can
enough,
we explain what if you have to explain someone who's super simple
right?
way, what is model?
Right. So a model is basically an architecture of different layers.
Hmm.
So you need to design your own number of layers. Like so an image is very complicated.
Mhm.
To a human eye, it's very simple, but actually to a computer is which is very complicated. So it is in the range from 0 to 1, the number of bits that are there, and according to the brightness of the image, it either is in the side of the 0 or in the side of the 1. So with those numbers, you have to play around the pixel values, you have to do the image processing, you have to convert it into grayscale for easier computational power, and then you have to do the fancy stuff like predict if it's your face or not, something like that. So yes, there is a lot of coding.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of programming languages do you use for AI?
So basically, if you are into computer vision, machine learning, then Python, R language is a really good language that people use. And for data, if you want to play around with data, then again you can do Python, but then you can also do SQL.
Yeah.
So
For your curriculum, was there a lot of assignments which are pure coding assignments?
oh yes, it was like we had machine learning, we have object oriented programming as well. So I was well versed with C, C++, Python, and at the end when I was doing the job hunt, at that time I actually learned SQL as well
Okay.
because from scratch. And that's when I actually got to know that SQL is also powerful as well to actually play around with the data.
Okay. And is there a difference between AI engineer and ML engineer?
Yes, there is. So AI is basically a major, huge department under which there is machine learning, there is data science, and then there is computer vision. So AI is the broader aspect of these three. It covers everything.
Okay.
But my specification is AI engineer in computer vision.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I know you were mentioning that you were also looking for jobs in robotics.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
Yes.
so what's like how is that different from what you're doing now?
So, as a robotics engineer, robotics software engineer, you need to understand the software part of it, but you also need to understand
Hardware.
the hardware. So you need to understand how a motor works, how different devices like Arduino or Raspberry Pi, the fancy boards that come, how do they work, and how would they react with different sensors that are attached. So yeah.
So, for a very simple example, the vacuum cleaner,
Yes.
the robo vacuum,
Oh yes,
is that the robotic engineer?
Oh yes, that is, and it also has mapping as well. So it also acts like an AI,
Okay.
basically. So
Oh, right, because
Yeah.
it is every time it does it, it is
Yes.
basically it's registering in the database
Yes.
that what does the house look like, and so then next time it's gonna avoid.
Yes, and the more it goes around the house, the more it learns. So basically, it won't
That's
crash.
scary now.
Yeah, it won't crash to the the walls and just so it knows where it has cleaned already. It knows where it wants to go ahead as well. So it's AI plus it's robotic software as well.
Okay. Okay, cool. Let's talk about your job search journey. When did you start looking for jobs?
So I started looking for full-time roles starting in November end, December first week for May 2022.
Okay. And that was like pure, like you knew that's what you wanna look like. You were applying only for AI engineer?
No. So it's a very fun story. So initially I was not applying to AI computer vision because I was not getting calls.
Okay.
My resume was very much focused towards robotic software, IoT engineers.
Okay.
So I was getting calls from robotic software and IoT engineers. When February started, I sort of gave up on machine learning altogether, and I just was applying to robotic software because it was when the tempo started getting high, and then the last few months of
Before you graduate, yeah.
yeah. So I stopped applying, and then there was this one call that actually helped me change my mind, and which was from Amazon.
Okay.
So I got a call from Amazon, and I don't know how I got the call because there was no referral.
Okay.
So I got the call, and it was for machine learning engineer. And then the call started coming in from XP media. I got calls from McDonald's and companies like that. So yeah.
So obviously you got few offers from going from zero. How many applications did you do?
I did somewhere around easily 3,000 to
Wow.
3,500 applications. Yeah.
Was that like discouraging when you wake up with like 20 rejections every
I
morning?
mean, you bet. At the start, it was like, it was kind of, it was becoming kind of a morning routine. Like, if you don't see a rejection, it's like something is wrong, it's not going, something is not right. So, yes, I did get a lot of rejections, but more than rejections, no emails at all.
Okay,
So
yeah.
basically, you apply to 100 companies, but then you're getting rejections from like 10. What
Right.
about the other 90?
90, yeah,
You don't
yeah,
get to know about
yeah.
it. So yes, it was, I was disencouraged at start, but then yeah, it was kind of like, okay, now it's not a time to sit around. Yeah, it's
You
sort
just
of,
kept going.
yeah, yep.
Okay. So your strategy was pretty much the same, like keep applying.
Yes.
And was it all online application or through referrals, or like did you try all the avenues?
So I did go to the the campus where
Career center.
career services as well, and there were career fairs as well. I applied through career fairs. I got calls from Siemens Healthineers. I got calls from AVG Automation and several other companies like Milwaukee Tools via the career fair. Apart from that, I did apply through Indeed. I applied through LinkedIn. But more than that, what I understood is that applying directly via the company's website, that helped me more than LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I was going through the company website directly. I was going to which companies I want to go. So how I sort of segregated it as, so one day I will only apply to the tech companies. One day I will only apply to the companies which help with tourism. One day I will just apply to the companies which are in silicon sector. One day only to semiconductors. So I sort of segregated in such a manner so that I don't miss out on some companies which I want to apply to. Initially, I applied to all the companies that I was getting, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't just pure rejection because you also had some interviews,
Yes.
like obviously Amazon, and so you started getting call.
Yes.
But then the problem was you were not cracking those interviews.
Yes.
What were the things you now learned from that? That okay, these are the things if you know and do, you will crack the interview.
Right. So initially, I was not even passing the HR round. So I got
Wow,
I got
okay.
the first. So I got the first call in January first week, and since then I got in January itself I got like 5 to 6 more calls. Till January mid, I was not able to cross the HR round. So when I got to know what I'm telling wrong, at that time I sort of changed my pitch. You need to have a good pitch in order to talk. So when they ask you certain questions, always remember the HR is representing you to the hiring manager. You are not representing yourself to the hiring manager.
Okay. So what did you like? What was your pitch and what did you change?
Right. So I was showing enthusiasm.
Okay.
So there is a very thin line between showing enthusiasm and showing despair.
Yeah.
Like knowing what's your worth and actually giving them what's your worth. So basically, I knew that if I am good fit for this job, I was giving my 100%. By giving 100%, what I mean is knowing what the company does, knowing, like having small questions. Always have questions for the HR. That is
Yeah.
very much important. Then actually knowing what work you will be doing. So be super transparent in order to understand what work you will be doing with the company. And that sort of helped me in order to crack those HR first rounds. And showing and portraying what you know very well to the HR. Yes, so there are two different types of companies. So one is the startups and one is the big tech companies. So initially I was interviewing with the startups, and startups, they grind you a lot on the interviews.
Okay.
They actually ask you a lot of questions because, and there is like a lot of people sitting in your interview. It's not just one person. It's
Right.
like multiple people.
Yeah.
It's like a panel interview.
Yeah.
So they are sitting.
I've done that because I'm
Yeah.
now in startups. So
Yeah.
you also are you're
Yeah.
in startup too.
Yeah.
So okay.
So it was kind of like you need to be very good in what you know, and they need to understand that you have a very good learning curve. Because in a startup, you would be put in a very
Yeah,
situation
you're not
where
gonna be doing like one thing. You're gonna be doing a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Yeah.
Plus, you're gonna be putting into time pressure because
Yes.
you have to deliver and all of
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So they need to know that you are very good with that. So when it comes to the technical part, I gave interviews for robotic software engineering as well as data science as well as machine learning and computer vision. So all of these were different technical ones. But in the mainly if you're talking about computer vision and machine learning, they asked me how my knowledge with Python was, and how my knowledge was with data, and how, and then all the theoretical parts. And then when it comes to second rounds, third rounds, they actually asked me to code a particular model, or to maybe just gave me a certain circumstance and just to code around with it. So this was the startup part.
Okay.
Now when it comes to the big tech companies, my first big tech company that I had an interview was with Amazon.
Right.
And that's when I understood that I need to study a lot.
And when
So-
you say study, what?
So yeah, so study a lot in the sense I was good with Python, but I wasn't that good with understanding the basics of what does ML engineer do in regards to the model. Every single different parameter in the machine learning. So basically when we are creating a model, there are several different parameters that we are working with, and several different regression models, classification models. Where do we use regression? Where do we use classification? Where do we use different regression models basically in what prediction? So basically I need to understand right from the groundwork till like actually having to know how to code every single different regression models.
How did you learn that then? How, like, so you obviously figured out like, okay, this
Yes.
is where my weak points are,
Yes.
weaknesses are. Now I have to do something about it. Like, so how did you learn that?
So initially, I had a very good basic understanding of how different models work. So when it comes to understanding the different regression models and classification models, I definitely use YouTube. That's one of the places where I actually started. But then I use different websites as well to actually gain good understanding about. You don't have to know all the models, but which model do you know? You need to know very well, like very good. You need to have very good knowledge about it.
Oh, and so these models are already there,
Yes, it's
which
already
you
there.
can leverage to do your coding for
Yes,
it. Okay.
yes, you can. But in order to like leverage those models, you need to also understand, tweaking with the different parameters. Like if we tweak this parameter, what will happen?
Okay. Can you give us some of the examples, like questions they asked you, code they made you do?
Wow. So, disclaimer, there were many different interviews and a lot of different things happening. So, if I want to keep it short between computer vision and machine learning. So, in computer vision, when I was interviewing big tech companies, I actually interviewed for Google, I interviewed for Cadence and Amazon and Expedia.
Wow.
So they actually presented me, like all these big companies, they presented me their problem statement. Yeah, in
Yep.
one of the companies, what happened was they actually presented me different pixel values in an image, and they asked me in order to, okay, now you have to write a code to just sort of rotate the pixel values to one area, and then you have to sort of apply a filter wherein you just want to see the middle rows of of this pixel. Now image is what we see, pixels is what is behind the image.
Right.
So what basically when application wise he was asking is because if he wants to segregate and just alienate a particular part of the image and just restore the image in such a way that we only see the middle part of the image, how would you do that when it terms of the code? So this is one of the questions
Yeah,
that
this
was.
reminds me of like, you know how some of those Instagram filters they have like these questions over here.
Yeah.
So like you move no
Yes,
matter
it
where,
detects your face and
and
then
it
yeah.
still stays and like
Yes.
yeah you nod. So it's like okay,
Yes.
it nodded, so right and wrong. So is
Yes.
that similar to what you're talking?
Yes, this is actually before the machine learning part. This is the image processing part.
Oh, okay.
The machine learning part happens after this. After this, when you have, so basically computer vision is huge. So initially you have to play around with the images, and then you have to automate the pre-processing part. So basically you're not going to apply code every single time for different images. You have to train a model to actually apply this code for different images. So basically when that person knows, okay, what if I'm sitting in this manner and then your face is turning this side, and then what if you are sitting this manner, so the image that the code should know that okay, you are changing the face this side and then detecting the face this side,
Yeah.
and then you have to apply the model on that particular side.
Got it. Okay.
So this is the pre-processing part, and the machine learning part is afterwards, where you do the fancy part, training the model, actually,
Yeah.
putting all of these images in and predicting it out.
Yeah. And so what were some of the other questions? I know you mentioned one of them.
Yes. So one of the questions that I had, main questions was basically figuring out. So if there is a flight traveling from Lisbon to US, Lisbon to Chicago or somewhere in the US, I had to figure out which is the fastest path as well as the cheapest economical way, and they had given me the data, basically. And so
Wow.
yeah.
How would you do that?
So basically, by playing around with the data, so they gave me a bunch of data points with rows and columns.
So before that, how is that related to AI?
So basically, how that works is some companies, many companies which worked in the tourist section, what they do is basically if you go to a website and you want to type, okay, I just want to apply a filter where I want to just go from this place to this place, and their marketing strategy works is as if they put the top economical one that they have on their website, and you sort of click on it, and that is basically nothing but their model doing the work for the company, and then they just put it on top with so many different data, and it keeps on changing every single time. So whenever you click on it, you just go to the economical part of the where you can get the economical one.
Okay.
And one more example of that is when you are actually continuously looking on a flight ticket plane, suddenly it increases. Yeah. So basically it's their machine recognizing, okay, now this person is desperate for this flight, so why not try to increase it like $10. So it's like a $10 profit to the company. Then apart from that as well, how it works is basically if you're searching for something on a website and you want to buy that particular thing,
Right.
and you search on it continuously, and then you try to search on it on your system and you try to search on it in someone else's account, the price will be cheaper in someone else's account and the price will be higher in your account.
Yeah. And similarly, like if we are talking about camera, for example, and if I'm texting or looking up different cameras on YouTube and Google, now all of a sudden on my social media, I'll get ads. So that's also.
Yes, that is one of the reasons why how AI works, basically. It understands what you actually want, and it sort of tells you that you want it. So you get it.
And that's not part of vision though.
That's not part of vision. Yeah, that is solely machine learning.
Machine learning.
Yes.
Okay. This is so cool. I mean, I've not learned so much about it, but in this one, whatever, how many ever time has passed, I've learned so much about this whole field. It's very fascinating, and I think we probably will do follow-up session on this. What typical like rounds happens for AI? Like, is it all technical, or is there behavioral for your specific company?
Yes, there was behavioral as well. So initially, right now, which company I'm going to go to right now, it's basically a startup to a mid-sized company, and initially we had this first round of HR interview, and the second round was behavioral, mostly behavioral, and it was where the three people were sitting and I was like projected on a very big screen and I could see that, and it was online, and in 1 week I was called in person.
Okay.
So I flew all the way to Florida to give that round. It was a final round. Initially I had dinner plans with the program manager and the tech lead. So basically, again, they didn't mention that it's a behavioral section,
interview, right?
But it's like more like a dinner. So
they want to judge you based on how
good
you fit.
Yes, how good are you fit as a person in the company.
Yeah.
And then the next day I had actually my interview. So it was from 9 to 12:30 where I had my in-person interview. That was my life's first in-person interview, by the way. So it was basically 1 hour round with the tech lead where I was giving interview coding. Majorly it was coding. The next 1 hour was with the program manager, and then half an hour to 40 minutes was with the CTO. Where I met with the CTO, I spoke to him. They all showed me the plan, how their company works, and how would I be coming fit in. Then we had lunch, and then they showed me around the office, and I met new people over there. And and then I flew back, and in 4 to 5 days I had the offer. So
Nice, awesome. What's the money? I mean, everybody loves money.
Yeah.
So what's the money people make in this field?
So typically, if you're looking at major cities, then you could typically make around 75 to 120, 130K, depending on what kind of expertise you have. If you have good experience, you can easily cross 150 to 220 mark. At least like 2 years of experience, you can easily cross the 200 mark.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And would you say that students who don't have experience like you in AI will be able to get jobs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is difficult because you have to do your own due homework and the groundwork from ground zero basically.
Yeah.
When I came here, I knew that for a fact. If you're doing masters, it's going to be very much streamlined because everyone who is coming here has one vision
Yeah.
to actually get a good job in that particular sector. So I knew that I'm going to be competing with every single person, but you're also sort of learning every single day for yourself as well. So you have to disregard that fact that you have a lot of people who are competing with you and just focus on your own self. And yeah, that's how I would say that it is difficult, but definitely it's doable.
It's possible.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much again
Thank
for doing this. It's really awesome for
Yep.
me to learn about this. I know there's a lot more to unpack
Yes.
in your journey and
Yep.
especially AI. I'm still learning,
Yeah.
but it was awesome. I hope you guys learned a lot. Please comment if you have more questions about AI or ML.
Comment. Yes.
I guess that's it for this one. Until our next one,
Keep smiling and keep hustling, guys.
you gotta hustle every single day.